Hello, welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. My name is Hussein. Happy to be with you. Happy you could be with me. Hope you're having a good day or you had a good day. And yes, today I was with Father Zechariah and got to I was actually on his program, and so I want to show you a little bit about what I was with Father. It's in Arabic, but I was talking about Mamdani. Okay.
حاجة كده
نعم
قال أمرت أن أقاتل الناس جميعا حتى
الغرب له علاقة بالإسلام.
مم.
بحب يعني أحكي عنه هون.
طبعا
وفي موضوع مش راح أحكي عنه الآن، لكن ممكن في المستقبل أحكي عنه.
مم.
إنهم كانوا بدهم يبنوا مدينة إسلامية في تكساس، وراحوا اشتروا أرض وجابوا بدهم يبنوا جامع كبير كبير، وبعدين يبنوا بيوت حواليها وكل المدينة تكون إسلامية. اسمها إبيك سيتي. لكن تكساس الحكومة اكتشفت العملية هذه ووقفوها يعني. عشان هيك بس إن شاء الله في المستقبل نحكي شوي كيف كانوا بدهم يعملوا هذه يبنوا هذه المدينة في تكساس. لكن الحاجة اللي أنا حبيت أحكيها عن أنا بعثت صورة، إذا في إمكانية يتعرض الصورة. أيوة هذا. أنا حبيت أحكي شوي عن هذا الشخص. هذا اسمه زهران ممداني.
Well, anyway, that's kind of my. I was actually talking about Mamdani on Father Zechariah's program, and so anyway, so that aired today, and it's gonna. They also made they made like a video short, like a YouTube short, uh, with it, and so they're gonna be releasing that in a few hours. So anyway, I'm still doing stuff with Father Zechariah, not as much as I used to, but I'm still involved with that ministry. And Father Zechariah is still going strong and doing the Father's work. And remember, Father Zechariah is the father of all Islam or Christian apologists who are dealing with Islam. He's the one who started it all. He's been studying it for 75 years. Amazing, amazing man. So anyway, but what I wanted to focus on today is what was going on in the United Nations. I don't know if you guys were watching, but like I don't know if you guys were watching, but there was a whole truckload of countries that recognize the Palestinian state, and it was like, wow, just watching it. It made me feel like these people don't really understand the Middle East. Like these people don't understand the Middle East. And so anyway, I just wanted to watch a little bit of it because it reminds me of the prophecies. Let's look at Zechariah 13, I believe it is. There's, or is it 14? Okay. It says here, It says in Zechariah 14, and I'm not saying that this is a fulfillment of this prophecy, but it feels like it. It says, "A day of the Lord is coming, Jerusalem, when your possessions will be plundered and divided within your walls. I will gather all the nations to fight against it. The city will be captured, the houses ransacked. Half of the city will go into exile, the rest of the people will not be taken from the city. Then the Lord will go out to fight against those nations as he fights on the day of battle." So this is a persistent theme that we see in Old Testament prophecy, that all the nations are going to join together against Jerusalem. And so today was, there's like about 150 nations already in the UN that recognize the Palestinian state. And so, and today, a lot of countries, all the Arab countries, many African countries and Asian countries, but today it was predominantly European countries. These are the powerful, rich, first world countries that started acknowledging a Palestinian state. So I just want to watch a little bit of it. I just think it's so interesting. Interesting the way they what they did. Okay, so
to the Palestinians.
Okay. Let's just okay.
Of a peaceful future for both the state of Palestine and the state of Israel. Excellencies, Canada is under no illusions that this recognition is.
Okay, this is the Canadian Prime Minister, and he here is acknowledging Palestinian state.
A panacea. This recognition is, however, firmly aligned with the principles of self-determination and fundamental human rights in the UN Charter, and it is fundamentally consistent with the policy of the Canadian government for generations. We take this action as part of a coordinated effort led by France and Saudi Arabia.
France and Saudi Arabia, they're the
coordinated
leaders.
Effort to provide the possibility of peace and a two-state solution. Recognizing the state of Palestine, led by the Palestinian Authority, empowers those who seek peaceful coexistence and the end of Hamas.
It empowers Hamas. Hamas is the one that we're celebrating today.
It doesn't legitimize terrorism.
Yes, it does.
And in no way does it compromise Canada's steadfast support for the state of Israel, its
Yes, it does.
people and their security.
Yes, it
Because
does.
that security can only be ultimately guaranteed through the achievement of a comprehensive
According to your left-wing mush brain.
Le Canada
intensifiera
les efforts qu'il déploie
will
pour aider
take the
l'autorité
efforts,
palestinienne à
make
mettre
the
en
efforts
œuvre
it needs to
son
make to
programme.
support Ireland.
But even in the darkest
Okay.
viable option to deliver
Now, this is Ireland, and a lot of people call Ireland the Palestinians of Europe, just because they had a lot of warfare and the between the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, and Britain, and so here is Ireland.
the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for convening us today, and I commend them for their leadership on this most vital of issues. Those of us gathered here know that the only viable option to deliver a peaceful future for Israel and for Palestine is a two-state solution. At this most critical juncture, we must continue to put our full political weight behind it. The situation on the ground has rarely looked so bleak. A just and lasting peace seems further away than it ever has. But in our own peace process in Northern Ireland, to a conflict of 24 years duration, we recognized that even in the darkest of days, we had a duty as leaders to keep the flame of hope alive and to keep talking. The immense suffering of the Palestinian population in Gaza over the past 2 years has been an affront to the world. It has horrified people around the world, nowhere more than in Ireland, where people have been moved to sorrow and to anger.
Anger against who?
What happened to Israel on the 7th of October
You see, all of them got to have a fig leaf of saying, we are so devastated by what happened to Israel on October 7th.
was a horrific and brutal attack on an innocent civilian population, and Hamas must be held to account for its
Okay, Hamas must be held to account. How? How are you going to hold Hamas to account? By surrendering to them and giving them trillions of dollars. How are they going to be held to account? Who's going to hold them to account? Ireland?
actions. It was an appalling act of crime, war crime. But it
Thank
cannot
you so much. It's an appalling act of crime.
justify what has happened since. More than 65,000 people killed in Gaza. Horrifically, more than 20,000 of them children. The use of food as a weapon of war, with scarcity becoming hunger, becoming famine. Hospitals attacked, homes and schools destroyed, thousands of years of culture wiped out. People shot as they desperately seek food for their families. Doctors, aid workers, journalists targeted and killed. We have reached a point where what has been credibly described as a genocide is being carried out in front of the eyes of the world. It would be easy to just despair, but we must not. Gaza must move us to action. And there are still humanitarian workers, medics, journalists determined to do their best for the people of Gaza and for Palestine. They're doing so with the most extraordinary courage and without regard to their own safety. To honor them and the Palestinian people, it is right that we as political leaders play our part too. And the only way to end the appalling cycle of violence is to forge a political path.
How do you do that? How do you do that? Forge a political path. How do you do that?
The only credible destination is a two-state solution.
In your head.
With Israel and Palestine living side by side.
And you want Hamas to agree to that?
In peace and security. And that is why Ireland last year, with Spain, Norway, and Slovenia, recognized the state of Palestine. I commend those who have taken the decision to recognize the state of Palestine this week, and I strongly urge those who have yet to do so to give it serious consideration. We know that there are people, including in the Israeli government, who are working daily to make that outcome impossible. In addition to the destruction of Gaza, settlements are expanding every day, and illegal settlers in the West Bank are increasingly emboldened and militant.
This guy is totally ragging on the Israelis.
If we do not move now to
everything is the Jews are trying to prevent this from happening. The Jews are with the settlements. The Jews are with, dang.
Protect the two-state solution. If we do not work to build a process through which it can be achieved, there may never be another opportunity. That must not be our legacy to future generations. Ireland is ready to play its part, and I look forward.
Ireland, just keep to
our continuing steadfast cooperation. Thank you very much indeed.
أشكر دولته على كلمته والآن أعطي الكلمة
There's Macron, the battered wife.
رئيس حكومة بلجيكا.
The Prime Minister of Belgium.
Belgium.
Dear Secretary General, dear Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen,
Belgium has always defended the two-state solution and is today reaffirming once again this position by having joined the co-signatories of the New York Declaration. Only this solution will allow Israelis and Palestinians to live side by side in peace and security. To support this aspiration, since the Oslo agreements, Belgium has provided bilateral funding and technical assistance to the Palestinians for a total amount of around 600 million euros. We also remain committed to meeting the acute humanitarian needs in Gaza. We have recently airdropped over 190 tons of humanitarian supplies to address the most acute needs. The Belgian government has recently decided to add another 12.5 million euros to our humanitarian budget for Gaza, in addition to what has already been disbursed. Full and free access to Gaza for providing massive humanitarian aid is an urgent need, as the famine has been officially recognized by the United Nations. Ladies and gentlemen, the resumption of settlement activities in the West Bank, particularly the E1 project, the military occupation aimed at the full occupation of Gaza, as well as the indescribable humanitarian crisis, all raise fears today that, in the absence of an international response confirming the need to keep the prospect of a Palestinian state alive, peaceful and sustainable coexistence in two states may no longer be possible. The recent declarations of a number of Israeli ministers, including the Prime Minister himself, that no state of Palestine will ever exist, is an additional reason for reaffirming the right and the need of the Palestinians having their own state.
So my question is, so if he says there will not be a Palestinian state and they're saying this is why we have to do something, what are they going to do? Are they going to do the Zechariah 13 thing? You know, are they going to, you know, actually go fight to bring this about? You know, I mean, what does he mean when he says, you know, that they have to do something? What are they going to do?
Therefore, Belgium is giving out a strong political and diplomatic signal to the world today by joining the group of countries that announces the recognition of the State of Palestine in the margin of this high-level week of the United Nations General Assembly. We are thus joining the initiative of France and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, as advocated in the resolution adopted by the Belgian Parliament. Through this initiative, we continue to support international law, particularly the right to self-determination of peoples. Let me be clear, however, this step cannot be a reward for Hamas. Conscious of the trauma suffered after the Hamas terrorist attack on October.
Yeah, it is a reward to Hamas. It is a reward to Hamas. You know, that's the one thing that they always say, it can't be a reward to Hamas. It is, it's a gift to Hamas. They're celebrating, they love you. They're going to have you over for tea.
2023, Belgium will proceed to the legal recognition of the State of Palestine once all hostages have been released and all terrorist organizations, such as Hamas, have been removed from the governance of Palestine.
Okay. He says, once all hostages have been released and once all governance of Hamas is removed. Who is going to do that? Who is going to get the hostages released? Who is going to remove Hamas? Is Belgium? Is Belgium going to do that? You know, they're saying that we're going to do it. I mean, somebody has to do that. If you're going to say that we're going to recognize the Palestinian state once these things happen, it's kind of like you're lying, unless you're going to go in there and do that. Are they going to go in and do that? Belgium?
Palestine. The effective conduct of diplomatic relations with the new State of Palestine, including the opening of a Belgian embassy and the conclusion of international agreements, will be carried out once the objectives of the New York Declaration have been achieved, notably the full demilitarization of Hamas and subsequent the renewal of governments based on presidential and parliamentary elections, giving the Palestinians a democratic, strengthened, and renewed authority. All these steps are intended to guarantee the security of both the Israeli and Palestinian population. At the same time, we also strongly call for the recognition of the State of Israel by all Arab countries. Let us be clear,
Who
the
cares
two-state
what he thinks?
solution is not dead. It is bruised, but it can be revived,
Belgium is becoming an Islamic state.
and it must be for the sake of both peoples. I thank you.
Bunch of windbags.
نشكر دولته والآن
We
أعطي
thank His
الكلمة
Excellency, and I now give the floor
لرئيس الحكومة
to His
النرويج
Excellency
فليتفضل.
Prime Minister of
Norway. The Islamic Republic of Norway. He's blonde.
Excellencies, thank you, France and Saudi Arabia, for convening us together in New York today. I would also like to salute the President of the State of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas. I find it
He didn't know how to say his name. Mahmoud Abbas. He didn't know how to say it.
an illustration of deep injustice that he was denied entry to be with us today. But his address was reasonable and dignified. Thank you, Mr. President. 32 years ago, the first Oslo Accords were signed, forever creating an association between my country, my capital, and a vision for peace in the Middle East. Ever since, we have worked for one end: peace, security, and dignity for the Palestinians and the Israelis, living side by side in two sovereign states, enjoying the rights and obligations that follow from the Charter of the United Nations. I have followed this closely, now as Prime Minister, previously as Foreign Minister, and also as Secretary General of the Norwegian Red Cross. Today's conference marks a historical high point of international support for and recognition of the state of Palestine. At the same time, the situation on the ground is perhaps the furthest we have been from its realization. The situation in Gaza is catastrophic. The governance structures created by the Oslo Accords are driven to the verge of collapse, and the encroachment of Palestinian territory continues. Yes, it is complex, but it is true. The two-state solution is the only credible path to peace and security.
I mean, did they really think that? Hamas doesn't want a two-state solution. Hamas doesn't want a two-state solution. They want a one-state solution from the river to the sea. So this guy saying a two-state solution, I mean, doesn't somebody there have to want this? Nobody wants it. Nobody wants this except Europeans.
For both Israelis and Palestinians. And
by the way, President Trump's going to talk, I believe, tomorrow. So I can't wait to hear what he's going to say.
Occupying power cannot have a veto over what happens in a territory it is unlawfully occupying.
Well, here it's calling Israel the occupying power.
The Palestinian people have the right to self-determination, as do the Israeli people. Last year, therefore, Norway, along with Spain and Ireland and Slovenia, recognized the state of Palestine. We welcome.
People are tired of clapping.
We welcome the recognitions announced this week and last year and today. Merci, Monsieur le Président, pour la décision de la France.
And thank you.
It sends
Mr.
an
President,
important
for France's
signal
decision.
underlying the urgent need to stop the violence, improve access to humanitarian assistance, release the hostages, and pave the way for a lasting solution based on the fundamental principles of the Charter of the United Nations. Only last week, this Assembly approved a roadmap of concrete actions to this end. And in July, a broad majority voted the New York Declaration. But friends, there will be no state of Palestine or a body to govern Gaza the day after without functioning Palestinian authorities. Preserving and reforming the institutions that we together have invested in and helped build over the last 3 decades is critical. It is critical for the well-being of the Palestinian population and its desperate hour. And it is critical for peace and security also for Israel. The alternative is chaos or worse. It is the strongest rejection we can come up with of Hamas and terrorism to recognize.
Hamas is applauding this guy. They love him. They say this is a rejection of Hamas. No, it's not. It's exactly what they want. to have Europe on their side.
As a Palestinian state under the Charter of the United Nations. Norway will continue to support the Palestinian government, including through emergency funds we are mobilizing with other donors. And we continue to call on Israel to release the tax revenues owed to Palestine. These revenues are desperately needed to fund schools, hospitals, and the police. So, friends, this is a time to stand up and be counted as defenders of human dignity and human rights, as defenders of a world with firm laws and rules, as defenders of peaceful resolutions. For 80 years, the UN has been a family of nations. The state of Palestine belongs to this family. Thank you.
أشكر دولته على كلمته.
I thank His
والآن
Excellency and I now give
الكلمة
the floor
لدولة رئيس
to
الوزراء
His
في
Excellency
لوكسمبورغ.
Prime Minister of Luxembourg.
This is the Luxembourg president. They've only got like 14 people living there, but they're very rich. These guys are the Antichrist.
Monsieur le Président, Your Royal Highness, ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in history when the cause of peace demands both moral clarity and political courage. 8 years ago was such a moment. The founding of the United Nations was an act of courage, guided by a clear vision of a world.
And he didn't just want to give billions. They're talking about giving trillions because they want to pay everybody who lost land in 1948. They want to give them money. So, I mean, this thing is getting into the trillions of dollars.
World based on universal values and principles of peace, freedom, and justice. Today, again, is such a moment in history. Luxembourg stands here today as a partner to all those who believe that diplomacy still matters, that it can make a difference. We want to remain true to their promise made 8 years ago. Luxembourg stands here today as a partner for peace. We remain convinced that a two-state solution remains the only viable way forward for a lasting peace. Our goal is a safe and secure state of Israel living side by side with a safe and secure state of Palestine. Rarely has the prospect of a two-state solution felt more distant than today, and yet never has the international will to achieve it been more unified. When doubts grow, we must face them with the certainty of hope. That is why I solemnly declare that as of today, Luxembourg formally recognizes the state of Palestine. Recognition is not the end of a process. It is the beginning of a renewed commitment to hope, a commitment to diplomacy, to dialogue, to coexistence, and a two-state solution, to the idea, fragile but still possible, that peace can prevail. We take this step fully aware of its great symbolic weight. It is our contribution to a political process, one that we hope will revive the prospect of a negotiated two-state solution, grounded in the legitimate aspirations of both Palestinians and Israelis. It is fully aligned with the principles that have guided Luxembourg's foreign policy since 1945. Respect for international law, the promotion of a rules-based order, and the values enshrined in the UN Charter. And let me be clear, this is not a decision against Israel or its people.
Yes, it is. It is not a decision against Israel or its people.
A people with which my country shares strong historic ties, and whose right to live in peace and security we have been fully upholding since 1948. Luxembourg has been and will remain a friend of the people of Israel and Jews around the world. And with the same clarity, let me say that it is not a decision to reward violence or endorse any actor who
Yes, it is rewarding violence and endorsing an actor.
undermines peace.
You see, the more they say that, it's like that saying, thou protesteth too much. That thou doth protest much, when you protest over and over again, this isn't a reward for terror, this isn't a reward for terror, this isn't a reward for terror, it's proof that it is a reward for terror. That's why you got to keep saying it's not.
Luxembourg condemns, in the strongest possible terms, the atrocities of October 7th.
I'm sure you
And we
do.
call for the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages. And in line with the New York Declaration, we expect the Palestinian leadership to live up to the responsibilities of statehood. The road ahead will not be easy. We do not claim this recognition alone will change the course of the conflict, but we hope it will contribute to restoring momentum to the political horizon that has been lost. Peace is not simply declared. Real peace, lasting peace is built step by step, brick upon brick. Let this recognition be a message to grieving families, to hopeful children, and to all those who have not yet given up. Thank you.
أشكر دولته
I thank
والآن
His
أعطي
Excellency the
الكلمة
Prime Minister and give
لدولة
the
رئيس
floor
وزراء
to the
مالطا.
Prime Minister of Malta.
Malta is a small island. I've been there.
Excellencies, dear friends, let me begin by stating clearly and unequivocally that the Republic of Malta is proud to confirm our official recognition of Palestinian statehood. We do so as a demonstration of our concrete commitment to a genuine and peaceful two-state solution, as the only solution that will secure the future of both peoples. Malta is equally unequivocal in its support for the right of Israel to exist alongside a democratic Palestinian state. In making this commitment, I am acutely aware of how events have unfolded since the appalling Hamas attacks of October.
Are you really aware how it unfolded since the horrible attacks?
7th. They were the despicable work of a terrorist organization.
Are you going to go get rid of them? Or who's going to go get rid of them?
Which must have no place in the emerging
Oh yeah, really? And who's going to go do that? Are you?
Palestinian state.
Mhm.
Since then, Malta has been unwavering in calling for the unconditional release of all the remaining hostages. No ifs, no buts. The hostages must come home now.
Who's going to make that happen? Is it going to be you, Malta?
Malta adds once again its voice to those demanding an immediate and permanent ceasefire. The fighting must stop now. I am also aware of the opinion that recognizing the state of Palestine somehow amounts to a victory for Hamas.
It absolutely does. You have breathed life into Hamas.
A two-state solution, however, is the worst possible outcome for Hamas. It is not
No, it's not.
what they want to see. They want to see Israel wiped off the map. Malta and our allies want to see Hamas wiped out. We must never forget that Hamas openly and violently opposed all the previous efforts at peace. If Palestinians can see a peaceful, and realistic road to nationhood and self-determination. It fatally undermines the siren cries of Hamas. It offers the only hope that there is an alternative to conflict. I ask, what is the other alternative? What is the future that the hotheads on both sides envisage?
Hotheads on both sides envisage.
A conflict without end? Israel under constant attack? A region mired in instability? That is an outcome nobody should want. Instead, with the right to recognition come huge responsibilities for the Palestinians.
Yeah, right. And you're going to make sure this guy's a joke. But by the way, Malta is in the Bible because Paul, the Apostle Paul, actually went there. And in fact, when I was there, we went to the port where they think Paul landed in the ship. It's a small island, and it was we were having a conference for ex-Muslims there.
Leadership. There must be absolute adherence from the outset to non-violence, and mutual recognition.
You guys, these are guys that are like a bunch of Europeans living, you know. I mean, Malta is so close to the Middle East, you'd think they'd be a little bit smarter about this.
Hamas must have no role.
Hamas must have no role. And who's going to make sure that they don't? Who?
In any shape or form in the future government of Palestine. Malta supports the Palestinians' authority, one state, one government, one law, one gun approach, and the need for urgent, free, and fair elections. Equally, there are urgent responsibilities.
There haven't been elections for 20 years in Gaza or the West Bank.
For the Israeli government. The attacks on civilians and infrastructure must stop immediately. The illegal settler encroachment and accompanying violence in the West Bank must also stop immediately. And unhindered aid under genuine international auspices must be allowed to flow immediately. Starvation is being suffered in Gaza, and the deaths of hungry civilians trying to access the pitiful trickle of food aid being allowed in cannot be allowed to go on. I'm not ashamed to admit that I cried after recently visiting the young children we brought over to Malta from Gaza to give them the best medical care our island has to offer and the required prosthesis. These innocent children have had their limbs and the best part of their life stolen away from them. They have also lost their parents, and they have been caused irreparable harm. But we will not allow their hope for a better future to be stolen away from them. And we will protect them. Ibrahim, I promised you that, and we will stick to our word. What is happening is morally and legally very wrong, and we have a duty on all of us to act. We know that the path to a functioning, free, and fair two-state solution is a long and also hard one. We know the dangers that lie along that path, but we also know the greater dangers that arise from saying nothing can be done, that the dream has died. We cannot, and we will not remain silent or complacent. The depth of the current tragedy must be.
You see what happened? There's a 2-minute limit.
The speaker's microphone has been cut off.
And so they cut off the microphone if the person keeps on talking. Actually, there was a 5-minute limit, but then people were talking so much that they just would turn off the microphone. And then the guy keeps talking, thinking that the microphone's working. But then they cut it down to 2 minutes each person instead of 5 minutes because there was too many people. He still thinks the microphone is on, but nobody's listening to him. Sorry, Maltese Falcon.
And I give the floor to the representative of the.
See, the Saudi guy's laughing.
Monsieur le Président, Altesse Royale, Excellences, je veux remercier l'initiative de la France
I would like to
et
thank
d'Arabie Saoudite
the initiative of
de nous
France
réunir
and
à un moment
Saudi
critique pour la
Arabia, the
paix
initiative being
au
to
Moyen-Orient.
gather us at a
La
critical juncture for
région
peace
a
in the Middle
connu
East.
trop de guerres,
The region
trop de
has known
violence,
far too many wars,
trop de
far too much
terrorisme,
violence and
trop de morts.
terrorism, too many
Aujourd'hui,
deaths.
à Gaza,
Today in
nous sommes
Gaza,
devant un cas.
I don't know where this guy's
Monsieur
from.
le Président, Royal Highness,
President.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. When the night is darkest, we must hold fast to our compass. And our compass is the two-state solution. October 7th has opened one of the darkest chapters in history. We all agree that the tragedy in Gaza must stop right now and all hostages released.
Okay. Who's going to get the hostages released?
But ending the war might not be enough if there is no pathway to peace, if the prospect of two states is no longer viable. And as we speak, the two-state solution is being undermined, and this cannot be, because the only realistic peace plan is based on two states, with a secure Israel, a viable Palestinian state, and the scourge of Hamas removed.
Who is going to remove the scourge of Hamas? They keep talking with these platitudes, you know, the hostages must be, it's like Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris saying, we must release the hostages and there must be, Hamas must be out of power. Who's going to do that? That's not going to happen. Somebody has to do that. Somebody has to go get those hostages. Somebody has to get Hamas out of power. These guys are talking like it's okay, by talking, something's going to happen. You know, but who's going to do that? The Palestinians? The Jordanians, the Egyptians, they hate Palestinians.
Since the beginning of this war, Europe has been the lifeline of the Palestinian Authority. We have put together an unmatched and unprecedented financial package of 1.6 billion euros. But as the very survival of the Palestinian Authority is at stake, we must all do more. And this is why we will set up a Palestine donor group. Any future Palestinian state must be viable, also from the economic point of view. And this can be achieved also with the support of the Palestinians' neighbors. We Europeans will set up a dedicated instrument for Gaza's reconstruction in coordination with other donors' efforts. Gaza must be rebuilt, the Palestinian economy must be relaunched, and I invite all of you to join in the effort to make this happen. Of course, in the end, only the Israelis and the Palestinians can agree on the way forward. But the international community has so much to contribute. We can facilitate, we can rebuild, but most importantly, we can keep hope alive. Thank you very much.
They were actually talking about trillion, not a million, not billions, trillions of dollars that they want to send. I mean, this thing was wild, man.
شكرا على المداخلة.
I thank you for
نظراً
your
لضيق
statements.
الوقت المتبقي نرجو من أصحاب
Given
المعالي
the limited
والسعادة حصر
time remaining,
Social time, the humanitarian social time.
which the
أعطي
microphones
الآن
will be
الكلمة
cut off. I give the
لمعالي
floor
وزير
now
خارجية
to
إيطاليا.
the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Italy.
Is Italian guy. Now, I don't know, but there was some riots in Italy today because some Muslims were saying that Italy did not recognize Palestine. Now, I don't know what this guy's going to say. This is the Italian guy.
President Macron, Minister Faisal, this conference takes place at a crucial time. The humanitarian situation in Gaza is catastrophic. Our position is clear. Italy is against the occupation of Gaza Strip and against any idea of displacement of its population. Italy condemns also the recent attack against Doha, but we encourage Doha to continue in the crucial effort to mediate together with Egypt and the United States, to reach a ceasefire. We deplore the decision of the Israel government to expand settlements in the West Bank. We also condemn in the strongest term, the recent terrorist attack carried by Hamas against the Israeli civilian population in Jerusalem. We are fully convinced that a path to peace is still possible. Like Pope Leo said, we cannot abandon the hope for peace. Italy strongly supports the dream of the Palestinian people to have a state. We will continue to support the Palestinian Authority in its reform. We will work hard for two-state solutions with the peaceful coexistence of the Palestinians and Israelis. It is the only solution to ensure a future of peace and prosperity in the Middle East. For this goal, it's crucial to reach the ceasefire, the liberation of the hostages, and the resumption of full humanitarian access. From the beginning of the conflict, Italy provided thousands of tons of aid.
Okay, again, the release of the hostages. Who is going to release those hostages? Who's going to pay the price to get those hostages released? Is this just a bunch of windbag talk? Useless?
To the Palestinian population.
I wonder, you guys, because the Antichrist is supposed to be 7 heads and 10 crowns. He comes out of the ocean. I wonder if those are the nations of Europe. A lot of people used to believe that. When it says that John was in Revelation 13, he was standing by the beach, and then he saw a beast come out of the sea. He had 7 heads and 10 horns. A lot of people used to think that was the European common market, because they had but now that's been replaced with the European Union. But the European Union has way more than 10. Let me see. There's 27 countries in the European Union. And so the Bible says that the Antichrist is 10 nations, and I'm at 10 heads and 7 heads and 10 horns. So I think the heads are like the leaders in 10 nations somehow. So, I think and not only that, Houston, but they are forcing the outcome. They are forcing the outcome, by doing this. And they're breathing life into Hamas. I won't be surprised if there's not some more terrorist attacks.
Organized medical evacuation to cure in Italy hundreds of Palestinian children. We know this is not enough. We must interrupt the cycle of violence. The message from New York is clear. Israel, stop bombing. Hamas, freedom immediately for the hostages.
Hamas really cared. It says, Israel, stop bombing. Stop bombing. And Hamas, freedom for the hostages. It's like, are the hostages gonna be released from this when they don't even understand what the guy's saying?
We must focus on the day after. It should meet.
Oh, okay. He's talking too long. After 2 minutes,
The microphone has been cut off.
they cut off the microphone because people talk too much. The Arabian guy, the Saudi Arabian guy's laughing. The guy's still talking. He thinks that the microphone's on, but they cut the microphone off. Look at the Saudi Arabian guy. He's laughing. He's laughing. The guy's still talking. This is the Italian guy. He's still talking. Everybody's laughing. This is like central comedy. And look at Macron, the battered wife. Battered wife syndrome.
His Excellency وأعطي الكلمة الآن إلى معالي وزير خارجية الجزائر.
His Excellency Foreign Minister of Algeria.
Algeria. Yopaye. So this is the first Muslim country that's coming in to do this. They hate Israel. So it'll be interesting to see what this guy says.
I thank the co-presidency of this conference.
ترحب الجزائر
Algeria
بائتئام
welcomes
مؤتمرنا
the convening
هذا
of this conference,
وهو ناتج عن إجماع
which is the
دولي
fruit of an
أصيل.
international consensus.
وهذا الإجماع هو الضامن
This
الرئيسي
consensus is
لتسوية
the main
عادلة
guarantor
ودائمة
for a
ونهائية
just,
للصراع
lasting and final settlement
الإسرائيلي
to the
الفلسطيني.
Israeli-Palestinian
وإن
conflict.
هذا الإجماع الدولي هو السد
This
المنيع
international
أمام
consensus is a
السياسات
strong barrier
الإسرائيلية
against
التوسعية
Israeli
تحت
expansionist
غطاء
policies
خرافة
under the guise
إسرائيل
of
الكبرى.
the greater Israel
وإن
myth.
هذا الإجماع الدولي هو
This
أبلغ رد على
international
أوهام
consensus
الاحتلال
is the most
الإسرائيلي.
powerful response.
You know, the one who had a semi-good opinion about the Israel-Palestine conflict was Muammar Gaddafi. Gaddafi, the president of Libya. He was crazy. Everybody knows he was insane. He's the one who had 100 female bodyguards. I mean, this guy was nuts. And and everybody knew he was nuts. But they used to use him. So they wanted him in power because he was easy to control and manipulate. But one thing he said about the Israel-Palestinian conflict is he says, you can't put 2 feet in one shoe. He says, you can't put 2 feet in one shoe. And so he's saying that piece of the land. You can't have 2 countries in one piece of land. Let me see if I could find that. That was hilarious. Hilarious. Gaddafi. Oops. Oh, okay, guys. This is the British. So they're going to get an extra few seconds, okay? Because this is the most important player here today is the United Kingdom. Kiss the ring, bow. Oh, wait a second, you guys. Wait a second. You know what? I am showing the wrong one here. Let me. Okay, it's this one. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Your Excellencies, President Macron and Prince Faisal.
This is
I
England.
stand before you today beneath the emblem of the United Nations to confirm the historic decision of the British government to recognize the state of Palestine. This step, alongside friends and partners, reflects a long-standing truth that statehood is the inalienable right of the Palestinian people, and that two states is the only path to security and lasting peace for Israelis and Palestinians alike. But it also reflects a grave reality. The two-state solution that for decades has commanded global support is in profound peril. From continued bloodshed, man-made famine, terrorism and hostage-taking, settlement expansion and settler violence. And Hamas terrorists continue to hold hostages seized in the barbaric attack of October 7th.
She has to show that she cares. You see that seized in the barbaric attack.
Prolonging the unimaginable anguish of their families. And in Gaza, the unbearable humanitarian catastrophe worsens as the Netanyahu government chooses to escalate war and hold back aid. Children dying of starvation while food rots at the border. And settlement expansion threatens the very viability of a Palestinian state. The two-state solution risks disappearing beneath the rubble. That is what extremists on all sides want, but we refuse to let hope be lost. Recognition is born of urgency and principle, alongside our unwavering support for the security of Israel and its people. This pathway is the opposite of Hamas's hateful vision.
No, it's not. This is exactly what Hamas wants, and they're applauding you.
And this process around recognition has helped cement the rejection of Hamas across the Arab world.
No, it hasn't.
Alongside new reforms to the Palestinian Authority, because there can be no role for Hamas in the future governance of Palestine.
And who is going to make that happen? England? Are they going to send, who's going to make that happen? They keep on saying, just like Kamala Harris, they say the hostages have to be released and Hamas has to disarm. Who's going to do that? Is Hamas just going to willingly disarm? Is Hamas just going to lay down their arms and say, okay, since England said so,
But recognition must be a spur, not a substitute for urgent action. A ceasefire now, the release of all hostages.
Who's going to make that happen? Who's going to make the release of all hostages? Sausages.
The restoration of aid and a lasting framework for peace. Recognition is about the future, but it is rooted in our past. 75 years ago, Britain was rightly proud to recognize the state of Israel. But the promise of upholding Palestinian rights has gone unfulfilled. For decades, my country supported a two-state solution, but only recognized one state. That changes now as we join more than 150 member states in recognizing the state of Palestine and protecting the pathway to peace. Thank you.
I think Hamas is
Thank you.
on kids.
أشكر معاليها
I
وأعطي
thank Your
الكلمة الآن
Excellency and I
لمعالي
now
وزيرة
give the floor
خارجية
to
المكسيك.
the Foreign Minister of Mexico.
Mexico. Uh-oh. Did Mexico fall for this too? Did Mexico fall for this too? Maybe they'll.
Presidente,
Presidente.
Mr. President,
a todos nos
Excellencies,
preocupa
we are
y
all
nos ocupa
concerned
la
by
grave crisis
the
en
grave
Medio Oriente
crisis in the
que
Middle East.
requiere de acciones
It requires
urgentes.
urgent actions.
Desde nuestra reunión
And it's
en
on all of our
julio
minds.
pasado,
Since our meeting
se ha
in last
confirmado
July,
declaratoria de
we
hambruna
have
en
seen
Gaza.
confirmation
México
states
reconoce las
Mexico
gestiones de todos los
recognizes these
países
steps
mediadores
taken by all
para
mediating
conseguir de
countries
inmediato un alto al
to
fuego
immediately
definitivo y
achieve
la
a definitive
liberación de los
ceasefire
rehenes
and the release of
y
all
considera
hostages.
Excellency. والآن أعطي الكلمة لمعالي
And
وزير
I give the
خارجية اليابان.
floor to His Excellency, the Foreign Minister of Japan.
Japan? I thought Japan did not recognize.
At
the outset, I wish to express my profound respect and sincere appreciation to France and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for their leadership in convening this high-level conference. Together with Norway, we have had the honor of serving as co-chair of the working group on economic viability of Palestine, engaging in sincere and constructive discussions with UN member states and international organizations. Urgent action is required to address the fiscal challenges facing the Palestinian Authority, sustain support for the PA, concerted engagement by the international community with Israel, and reforms undertaken by the PA itself. Japan continues to make tangible contributions, including recent financial assistance through the World Bank. Yet today, the situation has reached an extremely grave and alarming juncture that threatens to erode the very foundation of a two-state solution. The sharp deterioration of the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, the expansion of settlement activities in the West Bank, and steps toward annexations are completely unacceptable. Japan strongly condemns these actions and calls on Israel to immediately cease all such unilateral measures. At the same time, Hamas must release all hostages and disarm.
Okay, so this guy is from Japan, and he's saying Hamas must release all hostages. Now, I don't think they really care what you say, but who's going to get them to do that?
Japan has consistently supported the two-state solution. For my country, the issue...
Thank His Excellency and give the floor to His Excellency, the Foreign Minister of Andorra.
Andorra. Where Andorra is.
Messieurs les Présidents, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, la situation à Gaza est devenue insoutenable. Les victimes civiles, majoritairement des femmes et des enfants, se comptent par dizaines de milliers. L'accès à l'aide humanitaire est gravement entravé, érigeant la faim en arme de guerre. Les déplacements forcés ont pris des dimensions inouïes. Face à cette tragédie humaine, nous réitérons notre appel à un cessez-le-feu immédiat et la nécessité de mettre fin de manière durable à ce terrible conflit. Un conflit dont la seule issue crédible, mesdames et messieurs, est la solution à deux États. Le résultat du vote du 12 septembre dernier n'a pas laissé l'ombre d'un doute. Cette assemblée, à une écrasante majorité, considère que le peuple palestinien doit pouvoir vivre en paix et en sécurité au sein d'un État aux côtés d'Israël. C'est fort de ce constat largement partagé que le gouvernement d'Andorre a approuvé la reconnaissance de la Palestine. Nous continuons à appeler avec force à la libération de tous les otages, au désarmement du Hamas, auteur des attaques atroces du 7 octobre 2023 et à l'avènement d'un État palestinien.
They got to give Israel, they got to put on a fig leaf, you know, and throw some crumbs to Israel too, saying, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, your hostage got to be released, and that was really bad what happened to you.
And for the advent of a Palestinian state that's been demilitarized and that exists under the reformed authority.
Who's going to make all this happen? Who's going to make all of this happen? All of them are saying the same things, but who's going to make it happen?
Of government that excludes Hamas. When the conditions are in place and if we can guarantee the full regional integration of Israel, this recognition will take its effect. With this recognition of Palestine, our country, which is proud of its over 7 centuries of uninterrupted peace, remains committed to neutrality, multilateralism. The speaker's microphone has been cut off.
Okay, she's talking too much, so they turned the microphone off. Because everybody's got 2 minutes, but she kept on talking, so it's so funny.
Your Excellency.
Please shut up. whatever.
شكرا معاليك والآن
Your Excellencies.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I give the floor now to the Deputy Prime Minister of Slovenia.
Syria. This is the Syrian. Wow. The Prime Minister of Syria is a woman who doesn't wear hijab.
Your Excellencies, I would like to thank France and Saudi Arabia. A mutually agreed and sustainable two-state solution is the only viable path forward for peace in the Middle East. This cannot exist without a legitimate and capable Palestinian Authority, which requires
What a joke.
شكرا معاليك والآن
Thank you, Your Excellency. I give the floor now to the Deputy Prime Minister of Slovenia.
I can't believe that's Syria. That cannot be the Deputy Prime Minister of Syria, because Syria is an Al-Qaeda state right now. Al-Qaeda is going to have a Deputy Prime Minister like that?
Your Excellencies, I would like last month. The horrifying images of starving children in Gaza are the outcome of deliberate choices. This is a man-made catastrophe. Gaza is enduring what international law defines as genocide. This demands clarity of words and urgency of action. When brute force replaces law, it will not bring security. It will bring instability and radicalization for generations. We insist that law must apply equally to the powerful as to the weak. Slovenia has acted.
Oh,
We recognize
Slovenia.
Palestine together with Ireland, Norway, and Spain. We call for a permanent ceasefire, the release of all hostages, and the protection of all civilians. We insist that humanitarian aid must flow into Gaza. We are at a turning point. We welcome the most recent recognitions and insist others must follow suit. History will not be kind to hesitation. It will not remember speeches that avoided difficult truths. It will unapologetically remember those who stood silent when genocide unfolded. Let this conference be remembered not as another echo chamber, but as the place where the international community finally moved from words to consequences. And
Yeah, shut up.
The speaker's microphone has been cut off.
The microphone is cut off.
أشكر معاليها والآن أعطي الكلمة
I
لمعالي
thank
وزير
Her
الخارجية
Excellency, and I give the floor to the Foreign Minister of Germany.
Germany. Yeah. Is Germany going to do it too?
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, across Gaza, people are living through hell on earth. Tens of thousands of people have died. Hundreds of thousands are starving. Colleagues, the horrendous terrorist attacks of October 7th and the most brutal war that followed have made it very clear. This decades-old conflict cannot be solved by terror, destruction, and death. It can neither be won nor managed. It needs to be resolved. We are well aware that today a two-state solution appears more distant than ever. We are well aware that steps are being taken as we speak to bring it further out of reach. We are meeting today because we are convinced there can be a better future. An independent, democratic, and viable Palestinian state existing side by side and in peace and in security with Israel. A negotiated two-state solution in accordance with international law, one to which no convincing alternative has been presented so far.
Who is going to make this happen? Who's going to make this happen? Antichrist? I mean, they're saying this has to happen. Are they going to make it happen? Are they going to force it? You know, they keep saying this has to happen, this has to happen. But who's going to make it happen? It's been 2 years and the exact same issues are on the table. The hostages haven't been released. Hamas has not been disarmed. So how, why are they all just repeating the same tired phrases over and over again. It's almost as if they all have the same speech. They just go up there and say the exact same words, and they throw a few crumbs to Israel, say, oh yeah, and the hostages have to be released. Kind of a waste of time.
Colleagues, to bring that future closer, Germany is guided by 3 principles. First, we do not and will not recognize any changes to the 1967 borders unless agreed upon both parties. Second, we consider Israeli settlements in the occupied territories unlawful and a serious obstacle to peace. And third, we respect the IGC's advisory opinion of 19th July 2024 and act in line with its stipulations. My country will always be deeply committed to Israel's existence, which is still being questioned by some. My country will always be committed to Israel's long-term security.
Okay, he talked too much. I just wanted to show you guys, just
Microphone has been cut off.
taking a break. He went over his 2 minutes. But I just want to show you guys that there's a prophecy by Jesus, something that Jesus says that is related kind of to this. It's on this side here. It says, so when you see standing in the holy place the abomination of desolation described by the prophet Daniel, let the reader understand. So Jesus here is saying it's important that you focus on this. When the abomination of desolation, when you see in the holy place, that's in the Temple Mount, then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Now, Judea, you guys, is the West Bank. So Jesus is saying there's a group of people who are going to be in Judea, in the West Bank, and their lives are going to be in danger. So flee to Jordan, flee to the mountains. And so the controversy, I mean, Jesus said this 2,000 years ago, that the controversy is about the West Bank. And the Jews who are in the West Bank are going to be in danger when the abomination of desolation happens. And they're told to flee to the mountains. And so this prophecy right here is this is what they're talking about. They keep on talking about the settlements in the West Bank. They keep on talking about that. Well, that's exactly what this is about, Judea. So it seems like this prophecy is being fulfilled in the sense of because Jesus is indicating there's a great danger on the Jews who are in the West Bank. And you know what? There's not one place that almost every country in the world hates Israel for like the West Bank, because they consider that the Palestinian state. And there are many settlements in it. And I might as well just go ahead and tell you this right now, that Netanyahu said, they asked Netanyahu, they said, are you going to do anything in response to all these nations? And he said, well, I'm going to speak at the United Nations, I think tomorrow or something. Then he's going to go meet with Trump on Monday, and then he's going to go back to Israel. And he says when he goes back to Israel, he's going to say what he's going to do in response to all these nations. And you guys, let me give you my ideas of what Netanyahu might do. Number one, he may start construction on the temple. You guys, you heard it here first. He may start construction on the temple. He might say, you know what? We'd like to have a temple on the Temple Mount. And so we're going to go ahead and start it. Or he's going to annex the West Bank and say this is now legally Israel. Okay? Because to the Jews, they consider it contested territory. They don't consider, they consider it, the non-Israelis consider the West Bank occupied territory, but the Jews consider it contested territory. Well, it's the most controversial piece of land on planet Earth, because the whole world wants it to be Palestine and Israel wants it to be Israel. And they call it Judea and Samaria. They don't call it West Bank. But Netanyahu will either start construction of the temple or he will annex the West Bank and say, this is ours now. And once that happens, then all of these nations, they're going to say, well, you know what? We need to go fight the Jews now. And Iran and Russia will lead the way, and then we'll have Ezekiel 38. And so anyway, keep your eyes, you guys. I mean, there's a reason why I'm going through. I know this is a little bit boring, but you guys, I think this is biblical. I think this is biblical what's happening in the Satanic Nation, the United Nations. So anyway, let's just go ahead and see this here again. Okay. I'm just kind of curious to see which other countries are also doing. This is Germany talking.
This step, alongside friends and
Step alongside. It's funny.
partners reflects a long-standing truth that statehood is the inalienable right of the Palestinian people, and that two states is the only path.
Will bring instability and radicalization for generations. We insist that law.
We insist.
Colleagues, to bring that future.
President Macron and Prince Faisal bin Farhan.
Thank you, Your Excellency. شكرا معالي الوزير. والآن أعطي الكلمة لوزير خارجية الدنمارك.
Okay, this is Denmark. And you guys, let me just tell you something about Denmark. There's some people who say, I'm not saying I say it, but there's some people who say, you know, when the 12 tribes were scattered, and the 10 tribes were scattered, 10 tribes of Israel were scattered. Some people say some of them never came back. And they're called the 10 lost tribes of Israel. And there are some people who say that the tribe of Dan went up into Europe. And that's why you have in Ireland, what's the most famous song? Danny Boy. And if you go to Sweden, and in the big river in Germany is the Danube. And one of the lands is called Denmark. And so some people think this may be, and that's why some people think that the Antichrist is going to come from the tribe of Dan, maybe from Denmark.
Thank you, President Macron and Prince Faisal bin Farhan, for your unwavering effort to push for momentum towards the two-state solution. Denmark has endorsed the New York Declaration and remained deeply committed to build on that momentum. Almost 2 years has passed since Hamas' appalling terrorist attack, and ever since, Denmark has repeatedly condemned the attack, and we continue to insist on the immediate and safe release of every hostage. In the meanwhile, the war in Gaza has created a humanitarian catastrophe of unbearable scale, and Israel is expanding its military offensive. This needs to stop now. Israel needs to change course now. As an elected member of the Security Council, Denmark actively pushes for solutions, urging for an immediate ceasefire, release of hostages, unhindered humanitarian access.
Again, he's calling for the release of the hostages. Who is he talking to? And how are they going to do that?
Today, the two-state solution is challenged by the war in Gaza, by Israel's direct opposition, expanding of illegal settlements, and threats to annex Gaza.
When it talks about illegal settlements, that's in Judea, in the West Bank, the prophecy of Jesus.
Gaza and the West Bank. This is why I say today, the keys to recognition of a Palestinian state should no longer lie in the hands of the Israeli government. The Palestinians themselves must be able to fulfill the conditions for the creation of a viable Palestinian state. The key must be in their hands. The Palestinians must become masters of their own destiny. Therefore, Denmark stands ready to recognize Palestine as a state when certain conditions are met. The Israeli hostages are released, when Hamas are disarmed and no longer plays a role in Gaza.
It's unbelievable, man. It's exactly, this guy's got the same speech. The hostages released, Hamas disarmed. Somebody has to do that. It's not just going to happen. Somebody has to do that. Who's going to do that? Denmark?
When there has been further progress on the PA's reform agenda, and when it is certain, and when there is certainty that a future Palestinian state will be demilitarized. In that spirit, we welcome the strong commitment by President Abbas regarding democratic reform and condemnation of Hamas, confirming that they can have no role in Gaza. Denmark has been at the forefront pushing for each.
Okay, he talked too long. They cut off his microphone. Sorry, Denmark, you're a tiny little country. Nobody cares what you think.
Your Excellencies, today we unite as international community to voice our support for the two-state solution. Allow me to thank France and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for providing this opportunity. We must bring an end to this continuous cycle of violence and suffering that Palestinians and Israelis have for long endured. We have both the ability and the obligation to provide hope and a future to those who seek peace and reconciliation. The horrendous war in Gaza must end now, and the worrying tide in the West Bank must be turned. With this in mind, we put our signature under the New York Declaration. And with this in mind, we have taken and will take steps to preserve the two-state solution and alleviate the immense suffering of the people of Gaza.
Yes.
Violence and suffering.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, Excellency, and I give the floor to His Excellency, the Foreign Minister of the Netherlands.
Oh, this is the Netherlands. This is Holland now. So this guy's Holland.
Of the people of Gaza. A full course correction is needed, and the steps the Netherlands takes at the national and European level should force Israel to change its course.
Force Israel to change its course.
A legitimate and democratic Palestinian Authority with full control of the Palestinian territories is critical for achieving a viable Palestinian state. Hamas can have no role in future governance.
Who's going to make that happen?
Hostages and lay
Who's going to make that happen? Who's going to make the hostages come home?
down its arms.
Birds?
And any future solution must guarantee the security of Israel, as we remain fully aware of the intention of Hamas and its likes. The Netherlands will recognize the Palestinian state at a later stage as part of a political process that should commence now. In the meanwhile, we actively contribute, for example, through hosting the Global Alliance or through the Ad Hoc Liaison Committee, and all of the areas identified in the annex of the New York Declaration currently count on Dutch support.
He got his mic cut off.
The speaker's microphone has been cut off.
شكرا معالي الوزير وأعطي الآن
Thank you, Your
الكلمة
Excellency.
لمعالي
I
وزير
now give the
الدولة
floor to His
في
Excellency,
قطر.
Minister of State of Qatar.
This is Qatar. Yapa, yay, Qatar. My goodness, I wonder what he's going to say. The terroristic state of Israel, the Zionist entity, must be destroyed.
In
the name of yeah, he had to come bring his religion into it.
God, the compassionate, the merciful, Your Excellencies, I would like to express my appreciation to His Excellency, the President of France and His Royal Highness, of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for their perception in convening this historic conference for the peaceful settlement of the Palestinian cause under the umbrella of the United Nations. This international movement comes in a very important context. First, a historic context of decades of injustice, occupying the territories of peoples who have been subjected under occupation, taking their land and living under complete destruction in Gaza. At the same time, the West Bank is subjected to reckless practices, annexing land, expanding settlement, and violating the holy sanctities. This is a dangerous threat to international peace and security and to the Middle East. This Israeli escalatory aggression came as a threat to so many countries in the region, including my country. Our capital, Doha, has been subjected.
Because Israel attacked them because they are hosting the Hamas leaders in their five-star hotels.
To a treacherous Israeli aggression that violated its territorial integrity, led to the killing of 6 martyrs, and put the entire region to the brink of danger. This was a violation of international law and the UN Charter, and we believe that Israel is fully responsible for this rogue aggression, which was condemned by the Security Council and the United Nations. We have a part. Thank you, Your Excellency.
أشكر معاليكم على كلمتكم والآن أعطي الكلمة لمعالي وزير الدولة في الإمارات العربية المتحدة.
Oh, the Emirates, the leader of the Emirates. Look at Macron grew 6 inches. Look. He lost his hair.
President Emmanuel Macron, Your Highness Prince
يطيب لي في مستهل هذا أدعو الدول التي لم تعترف بالدولة الفلسطينية بعد القيام بذلك وفي ظل التطورات الخطيرة التي يشهدها قطاع غزة إلى جانب التهديدات الإسرائيلية المتوالية بضم الضفة الغربية وغيرها من الانتهاك على الأمن والسلم الإقليمي والدولي. ولتحقيق السلام المستدام يجب خلق أفق سياسي واضح وخارج وفي الختام سيد.
شكرا معاليكم وأعطي الكلمة الآن.
Thank you, Your Excellency, and I give the floor to the Vice President of the Vice Prime Minister of Russia.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it's Russia. Huh? What a clown show.
Уважаемые господа сопредседатели, дамы и господа,
Distinguished co-chairs, ladies and
происходящее
gentlemen,
нарушение
and
ее устава,
the territorial integrity of states, violations of the UN Charter,
под гарантиями МАГАТЭ.
as well as attacks
Интрига в результате военной
on
операции
sites under
Израиля буквально на
AEA
наших глазах
safeguards
разразился
before our
массовый
very
рукотворный
eyes.
голод.
We have seen
Нуждающихся
hunger,
расстреливают в
man-made
очередях
hunger.
за продовольственными пайками.
We're
50 тысяч
seeing
детей уже погибли, еще порядка
people
10
queuing
тысяч
for foodstuffs.
несовершеннолетних страдают от
50,000
острого
people, children have died, and many children are suffering from malnutrition. According to the OCHA representative, the city of Gaza has been handed down a death sentence. The Israeli leadership has announced it will be annexing a large portion of the West Bank, building up E1, that sector, and thus doing a blow to the
I think that was Russia. Oh, that was Russia, you guys. That's Ezekiel 38 now. That's Ezekiel 38 now with the Magog.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for this statement, and I give the floor to His Excellency, the Secretary General of the League of Arab States.
League of Arab States. I wonder if he's going to speak in English or Arabic.
I would like to remind everyone that the State of Israel was established through a UN resolution, and the recognition, or the states recognizing Israel had the biggest impact on the fact that it was established and given legitimacy. The UN resolutions stipulate it and bring us backwards. Thank you, Mr. President.
أشكر معاليكم على مداخلتكم وقد
I
استمعنا
thank you, Your
لذلك إلى
Excellency, for
آخر
this
المتكلمين
statement.
لفترة ما بعد بظهر اليوم.
This would be our last
أعلن
speaker
استئناف
for
الجلسة العامة
this
الخامسة.
afternoon. The fifth plenary meeting is
وأدعو الآن
hereby
معالي وزير
resumed.
الخارجية الفرنسي
I
إلى
now
أن يبدي
invite
بملاحظاته
my fellow co-chair to
Mesdames et messieurs, je
make his
tenais
statement.
participation à cette
Arabia expresses its appreciation to all countries that have announced their recognition of the State of Palestine and its deep appreciation of President Mahmoud Abbas for his unwavering commitment to peace. These recognitions today are not symbolic, but reflect a will and a responsibility in fulfilling the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination and decisive action towards ending occupation and make the two-state solution a reality that is irreversible. Based on what we have witnessed today and this growing international consensus.
Okay, you guys, that's all the countries there that recognized Palestine today. So interesting. And see, there's another prophecy I want to show you. Let me show you this other prophecy here. Just if you look at Zechariah, I think it's chapter 4, to be honest. And it talks about these carpenters. Go back, actually, maybe number 3. Talks about these. Chapter 2. Talks about these carpenters. It's chapter 1. Okay. Okay, let me show it to you. Let me just show it to you. This is in the book of Zechariah. In the book of Zechariah. And I'm not an expert in this, but I'll just show it to you. And the Lord showed me 4 carpenters. Then I said, what shall these do? He said, these are the 4 horns which scattered Judah, so no man did lift his head. These are come to fray and cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their head to scatter it. Okay. There is a shoot, I can't find it. Let me look if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it here. Oops, sorry. Okay. Okay. Well, there's this prophecy about them dividing the land. It talks about those who come to divide. There's the 4 who come to divide my land. And some people have referred to those 4 as the United Nations. And so this kind of sounds like that prophecy. Oh no. Oops. Let me see. Let me try a different version here. Maybe this would work. Okay, I don't see it. Well, anyway, that's kind of what I've seen. But anyway, I kind of think this is historic, what we're seeing here with the nations gathering. And it's all kind of imposing this on Israel. They're foisting this solution on Israel, forcing Israel to accept it. Now, of course, Israel and America have not accepted it. And what's the next step? But some of those foreign ministers stuff were saying to force Israel to accept this solution. And so, yes, and I think it's going to increase. And I think that they're going to, it's going to get worse. And, I was talking with my wife the other day, and it seems like, Jesus talked about before his coming, it's like there's birth pangs. It's like a woman in labor. And, a woman in labor, when she has the birth pangs, at first it's like a few hours apart, Oh, what's going on? Shoot. It's a few hours apart, and then it becomes a few minutes apart, then it becomes a few seconds apart. It's like these birth pangs, they start coming closer and closer and closer, and things are just happening. Contractions, thank you. It happens things are happening so fast. I mean, we're still in the middle of this Charlie Kirk situation, and then all this stuff is happening, and and just wait till tomorrow, you guys. Wait till tomorrow when Donald Trump talks. He's going to go talk. And I don't know what he's going to say. And then I don't know what Israel's going to say, what Netanyahu is going to say when he gets back to Israel. He's not going to go back to Israel for almost a week. But when he goes back, he's going to say what they're going to do. And somebody asked him today, says, what are you guys going to do in response to the UN? He says, when Netanyahu comes home, he'll talk about it. And it's like, uh-oh. And like I said, it's either going to be a temple or it's going to be an annexation of the West Bank. And then all the nations will turn against them. And so, I think Trump might do that. Trump, I don't think Trump is born again. I mean, he's doing a lot of things good and right, like you want a Christian, but I'm not sure he's born again. Because somebody asked him, do you believe Jesus died for your sins? And he says, oh, I don't sin. He says, I don't sin, And hello, Joshua. God bless you. You know what? It's like a lot of people don't believe in the prophecies. And a lot of people don't believe in the prophecies. But I tell you what, man, the way it's happening right now, I won't be surprised if we don't see that temple go up. And if we see that temple go up, you guys, that's going to be World War III. Okay. And the rapture and the coming of the Antichrist. And there's some people, you guys, there's some people who say, okay, I don't know. Okay, well, we are right now. It is right now Rosh Hashanah. it is right now Rosh Hashanah. I mean, today is Rosh Hashanah. And so let's just look. Let's just look at some things about Rosh Hashanah, because there's people who think, I'm of the opinion, and my opinion may be wrong, that the rapture is going to happen. The rapture is going to happen on the Feast of Tabernacles. Okay, let's just listen to this. Okay, I'm not saying I believe this guy, but let's just hear it anyway.
Okay, the rapture. Will the rapture happen on September 23rd of this year, 2020?
You guys, it is now September 23rd.
Is it going to happen on the Feast of Trumpets? There's been buzz all around the internet that the rapture is going to happen on the Feast of Trumpets, Rosh Hashanah of this year. And there are those who are preparing for the end. And I was asked to speak on what I thought. I made a quick video it was kind of impromptu, to give a quick response. Now I decided we need to go deeper. And I'm going to go deeper in this video. What is behind it? And will the rapture happen on September 23rd?
You guys, that's today. He's talking about today. So be ready.
What's it all based on? And how should we react? Is there validity? I'm going to give you a hint. It has to do with the stars, this whole argument or theory. Now, the Daily Mail in the United Kingdom, major paper, did a story on this. Somehow the writer said that I was in favor of the rapture coming on September 23rd. Well, I am in favor of the rapture coming anytime, but either he didn't watch the whole video or it's an example of the media totally twisting reality. Imagine that. What I did is, after noting that there are biblical reasons for the idea that major end time events will be connected to the Feast of Trumpets, I gave a strong caution. I said, be careful. Be very careful about date setting. We don't know the day or the hour. Be careful about thinking it's going to come this September, because those things bring disrepute to the Lord. Again, I said, be careful, like again and again. Don't go beyond what God says. Don't get dogmatic about these things like it's the Bible. And you don't want to put your faith in a date, and then if it doesn't happen, it's going to affect your faith or the faith of other people. Strong caution, strongly against putting your faith in these things. At the same time, I made that video quick, and I didn't see what this was really about, the reasons they have to come up with it. I didn't know it at the time. So now we're going to go deeper. And what is this all about? What does this have to do with an African pastor? What does it have to do with the stars? What does it have to do with the constellations, Virgo, Leo, the moon, the stars? And does it have validity? Okay, quick. Before I do this, to ensure you don't miss the prophetic messages, hit subscribe, number one. Number two, remember the Avatar is out now. The Return of the Ancients, Future of America, most explosive book I've written. It's everywhere. Go online, Amazon, everywhere else. And lastly, the Book of Revelation Super Tour and the Journeys of Paul.
Okay, guys, if you'd like to go see that, I'll go ahead and put the link if you want to see it. He's getting into a bunch of different stuff there. And so I'm not saying it's going to happen today, but there's lots of people who are saying, and I've been hearing about this for a couple of weeks, that it's supposed to happen, today on Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Tabernacles. Why is it the Feast of Trumpets? Okay, let me just tell you why on the Feast of Trumpets would the rapture happen. Let me just tell you, and I know some of you guys know this, but let me just tell you about the feasts. There's 7 major feasts of the Jews. 7 major feasts. First one is Passover. Second one is first fruit. Passover. Passover, what's the second one? But there's a second one, okay? It's after Passover. I think, unleavened bread. Then there's first fruits, then there's Pentecost, then there's tabernacles, then there's like atonement and another one. Well, the first four were fulfilled exactly on the day of those feasts. They were celebrating these feasts for years, 1,000 years, over 1,000 years, on a specific day. Well, on those specific days, on the day of Passover, Jesus was crucified. On the day of the unleavened bread, Jesus was in the ground. They covered the bread. Then on the day of first fruits, Jesus rose from the dead. On the feast of Pentecost, 49 days later, the Holy Spirit was poured out. So these events happened exactly on the day of the feast. But there's 3 more feasts that have not been fulfilled yet. The first is the Feast of Tabernacles. Well, a lot of people believe that the Feast of Tabernacle is the day when our bodies will be changed, because the body, tabernacle speaks of the body. Paul says, I put on this tabernacle and take off this tabernacle, And so this speaks of the body, and this will be the change of the body. And so that's why they think the rapture might happen on the Feast of Tabernacles. Well, today's the Feast of Tabernacles, you guys. So if it happens today, I'll see you guys in the clouds. There'll be no live stream tomorrow, you guys. If the rapture happens today, there'll be no live stream tomorrow, okay? Because I won't be here, man. Woo-hoo-hoo. We could really do... Where's my wife? Yes. I'm going to inform her too. Actually, she's the one who kind of told me about the September 23rd thing. So anyway, hey, right on. So, but anyway, so in case that happens, I don't have to go to work tomorrow. Woo-hoo! Praise the Lord. And if that happens, then there will be no live stream tomorrow. So, but in the meantime, keep preaching the gospel, and we'll be ready if it's tomorrow, if it's next year, if it's 10 years from now. I don't think so, because I think that Netanyahu is going to say he's going to build a temple next week. So I know it sounds crazy, don't it? But the Bible, I tell you what, man, we're in the thick of it right now. And I really think that but serious, if people die, it's like the rapture for them. It's true. But there is a rapture, though. There is a rapture. Let me just show it to you in the Bible. I mean, it's mentioned in the Bible several times, but let me just show you some of them. Okay. Let me show you in this one. My favorite is First Corinthians. I believe it's 15. Okay. The whole chapter. Okay. How do you get the whole chapter? I don't want just the verse. I want the whole chapter. Oh, chapter 15, like that. Okay, here's chapter 15. Look what it says here. What is this? I don't want any summary. I want the chapter. Yo, boy, yay. The Bible. I don't want no study. Okay. Let me just go to something else. I don't like the way these guys work. Bible. Gateway. Even though I'll have to change it. Okay. Okay. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 15. We're looking for the rapture. Are you guys seeing this? I don't know if you guys are seeing this. Let me go back and make sure you guys are seeing this. Okay, here. Okay, let me just 1 Corinthians 15. Let me just show you this here. It says, okay. Okay, what you, okay. Okay. Shoot, where is it? Okay, we shall not. Okay. Okay, let's go down here. 51. Here, I declare to you, brothers, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God, nor does it perishable. Listen, I tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will all be changed. In a flash, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. The trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised, and the imperishable will be changed, and the perishable must clothe itself with the imperishable, and the mortal with immortality. So it says we shall be changed in the twinkling of an eye. Okay, and there's other passages too, but there I go. All right, you guys. Well, thank you for hanging out. And if you haven't done it, please do it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Yesur sa'idni. Yesur samahni. Yesur udkhul qalbi. Someone's asking, what happens if we die before the rapture happens? Let me show you the next passage. Okay, I'll show you another passage here. Let me show you 1 Thessalonians 4. 1 Thessalonians 4 addresses your question. Brothers, I don't want you to be uninformed about those who sleep in death, those who die, the believers, so you do not grieve like the rest. For we believe that Jesus died and rose again, so we believe that God will bring with Jesus those who've fallen asleep in him. According to the word of the Lord, we tell you, we who are alive and left till the coming of the Lord will certainly not precede those who have fallen asleep. That means we will not go to meet Jesus before the ones who died. For the Lord himself shall come from heaven with a loud command, the voice of the archangel, with the trumpet of God. The dead in Christ will rise first. So the dead, those who died, will rise first. After that, we who are still alive and left will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. That's the rapture, dude. I'm getting excited. I'm not going to sleep, you guys. It's supposed to happen today, you guys. Woohoo! Yeah. Jesus died and came back to life after 3. Of course, Jesus' situation is completely different. You know, he died and rose again, plus he's God. So Elijah and Enoch, however, they were taken up without dying. So some people think they're going to be the ones who come back, the 2 witnesses of Revelation 11. So, all right, you guys, thank you for hanging out. Have a wonderful day. It's kind of an exciting, exciting day there, you know. Will you light an oil lantern with Ida? Sure. I think we have one too. So, all right, you guys. If there's a rapture, there will be no live stream tomorrow. I'll see you guys. See you here, there, or in the air. Woohoo! All right. God bless you guys. Have a great night.
If you have ever wondered why dull apologists lie so much, it's because on a rare occasion that they tell the truth, this happens.
One of the reasons I accepted Islam was the scientific miracles. I'll be honest with you. And now we know that this whole scientific miracles was absolute nonsense.
You're going to have to repeat that.
That the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say.